This is the Tower of David. It's a 45-story skyscraper that was supposed to be Venezuela's biggest business center. Today, it is just one of many abandoned buildings in Caracas. But if you go just a few years back in time, we would see this. A building full of families who work hard to make this unfinished skyscraper their home. It was full of small businesses like grocery stores, barber shops, and even a dental office. At its peak, over 5,000 people lived here, creating a small, self-sustaining city. Even today, the Tower of David is something more than just an abandoned skyscraper. It tells the story of how Venezuela's financial crisis and corrupt government forced people to find living space in most hostile environments. The surprising ways in which they were able to turn them into safe and prospering neighborhoods, and how after 7 years of building community, the whole skyscraper became empty again. This is a story of the Tower of David, the world's tallest slum. The year is 1990. David Brillenburg, a Venezuelan businessman, begins the construction of the Confinanza's financial center, a headquarters for Venezuela's major banks designed to be the country's third tallest skyscraper. Unfortunately, he did not see the completion of his project. He died from cancer 3 years later at the age of 51. The construction of the tower continued until 1994, when banking crisis in Venezuela exploded. The crisis was mostly caused by corruption and falling oil prices, which at the time was a huge source of income for the government. With rising losses, many banks started giving out loans to friends and insiders, many of which were never paid back. When oil money stopped coming in, the system collapsed. More than half of the country's banks failed, and the government spent billions trying to rescue them. Venezuela was in deep financial trouble, which made pouring money into projects like financial centers hard to justify. The construction of the tower was stopped. For 13 years, it would sit empty until hundreds of families would give it a purpose its builders never intended. The building's unfinished state was easy to see. It lacked electricity, running water, and even walls and windows in many places. Steel bars were sticking out of the concrete, and staircases were leading into empty elevator shafts. Without balcony railings, the higher floors were extremely unsafe, making the whole building dangerous to walk through. After 2 years of recession, the economy began to recover, but the tower was still empty. In 2001, the Venezuelan government tried to auction off the building, but no one made an offer. Then another crisis took place, which was about to completely transform the Tower of David. Homes construction in Venezuela slowed down drastically as people feared the state might seize their property. The government already had a record of taking private land from people and putting it under state control, which was essentially like throwing away all the money someone invested in their house. Venezuelan authorities tried to make up for it with housing programs, but they failed to produce enough homes to meet demand. The situation was becoming worse with every year, with more and more people beginning to live in slums outside of the city. Then, in 2007, something unexpected happened. A group of 200 families who were unable to find new home after losing their houses to floods decided to move into the tower. Now they had to figure out how to turn unfinished skyscraper, which was not designed to be inhabited, into their new home. They began with the basics: clearing floors, securing areas, and creating improvised apartments. Carrying water, food, and furniture up so many stairs was exhausting. But one of the most demanding tasks was transporting bricks to the top apartments. Many of the rooms had no exterior walls, which made them essentially uninhabitable unless the residents built the walls themselves. Some hired young men to carry heavy loads for small fee, but most had no choice but to do it themselves. The early years were brutal, as everyone from the street could walk into the tower freely, and this was in a part of Caracas with not the best reputation. Crime happened regularly. People feared anyone could come into their apartment in the middle of the night. The building was not only dangerous because of criminals, but also because of all the missing construction elements. But slowly, something surprising started to come together out of the chaos. The residents started to organize. Each floor had a leader chosen by the families living there. The leader was in charge of solving problems and made sure rules were followed, which included regular cleaning of floors and hallways, maintaining common areas, and keeping noise levels down. The families have even paid small contribution each month, which was used for things like buying wall paint and renovating the floors. Without official police in sight, security depended fully on the residents themselves. Neighbors stood together against thieves or people causing problems. If someone refused to follow the rules, the community acted quickly to push them out. The families have even managed to build a plumbing system that efficiently pumped water for several hours a day to all apartments. They have also won a case to have the city's electricity company install a proper electric grid throughout the building. Small businesses started appearing everywhere. A woman who started selling eggs from a plastic bag eventually ran the building's main grocery store. Barber shops operated in former office spaces. A dentist even set up a practice on one of the middle floors. The tower attracted not only the desperately poor, but also middle-class professionals. Among its residents was an attorney, government employees, and even a worker from the presidential palace. Many began to see the building not just as a place to stay for a while, but as somewhere they could settle down for good. Some apartments were renovated to surprisingly high standards, with marble countertops and even jacuzzis. Many residents lived in the tower for up to 7 years, and would have remained longer if not for Operation Zamora, launched by the Venezuelan government in 2014. The aim of it was to evict the families from the building and relocate them into the new homes south of Caracas as a part of its Great Housing Mission project. By June 2015, all of the residents were relocated and the skyscraper became empty again. The Tower of David became more than just a slum. It turned into a safe, functioning neighborhood that people could actually call home. It's impressive that the residents managed to organize it so well, especially considering it stood in an area with a bad reputation, and that a tall building with limited access to higher floors could easily have become known for gangs and crime. Despite the strong community that grew inside, from the outside, the media often portrayed it as a symbol of the country's failure. For many outsiders, it was easier to focus on its flaws than to see the people who had managed to build something positive within it. In 2018, the tower was damaged by an earthquake and several of its top floors collapsed. At the time of recording this video, it's still empty and it's unlikely that this will ever change. The tower will probably be demolished at some point, but for now, it stands as a reminder of what can be achieved with enough effort and the right community.